And a jolly good morning on this chilly spring morning here in Hertfordshire, on the Hertfordshire-Bedfordshire border at Knocking Hoe Nature Reserve. I'm just very close to it, and today I'm going to go on a nice walk that you might like to consider at some point. You can get to here. You can't drive directly to Knocking Hoe Nature Reserve because it's at the top of a hill. But you can either go to the Hitchin Barton Road just over there and park your car in a car park just over there, or my preference would actually be to park in the village of Purton and walk up Wood Lane, which is the path you can see there now. If you park in Purton, there's a couple of pubs and a shop to have pre, post or both refreshments before you set off up here or afterwards. Plus it's a nice little village to look around to. Once you get up here, or the other place you could park would be Pegsdon itself, because this walk is going to be a walk from here, Knocking Hoe, over to Deacon Hill, Pegsdon Hills, down to the village of Pegsdon, and then back up to this point where I'll return back to my car. Of course you could start this walk in Pegsdon itself. There's a pub there too. It's recently been refurbished and taken over and completely changed, so I can't really give you a clue as to how good it is. They appear to sell all the usual things a pub would sell, teas and coffees as well, and food, so possibly worth popping in there, but I've not actually been in there myself since it was taken over and redone. Anyway, this is Knocking Knoll, or Knocking Hoe Nature Reserve. Morning. Which is a great place to come with a picnic or bring the kids for a run around. Quite a lot of wildlife to see, and yeah, it's a good place to start or finish any walk. Anyway, I'm going to head off this way, which is not the quick way to Pegsdon. This is most definitely the long way to Pegsdon, and we'll take this path, which is a continuation of Wood Lane. We're at the top of Knocking Knoll now, Tingley Wood. For those that want to Google Map, as I say, there's a car park down on the Hitchin to BARTON-Le-clay road. So if you find that on Google Maps, we'll put in Pegsdon, you'll certainly see Pegsdon, and you'll find your way from there, no problem. It's early spring, so I've still got the remnants of autumn's leaf fall here. It's about 4 or 5 Celsius at the moment. It's a nice crisp day to have a walk. Particularly nice to come here during the week. It's quite quiet. You'll see the odd person walking their dog. I wouldn't say it ever gets busy here, but certainly at the weekends you'll come across a lot more people, and it's quite popular with people on mountain bikes as well, cyclists, which is worth bearing in mind. Yeah, so get out of the town and come out for a walk in the countryside. This is right on the Hertfordshire and Bedfordshire border. Nearest places to here are main town will be Hitchin. There's also the large village of BARTON-Le-clay, and the small village of Pegsdon, which we will walk through a little bit later on. In terms of difficulty, it's not really that difficult at all, except there is quite a steep hill up to the top of Deacon Hill, which you can can see now. You need to have a reasonable set of walking shoes on and be able to negotiate that hill that you can just see through the trees there, which is fairly steep, but it is doable for most people. Another way of finding this on a map would be to put in the trig pillar, Deacon Hill trig pillar. You should find it. I don't know the number of it on the Ordnance Survey maps just off the top of my head, but once we get there I'll put it on the screen so you can see. This is early March and it's been a pretty dry winter here in England, and I think for a lot of places in England, particularly the south of England, it was the driest February since, I don't know, 1957 I think they said, and it hasn't rained very much. It was quite rainy a few days ago, but the ground is still very, very dry, even though there was quite a lot of rain for a day or two, so it soaks it up quite quickly. Another example of climate change, I guess. This walk should take, well, we'll see at the end, but I would estimate at an hour and 15 minutes. Depends how long you stop for on the way. There's a few places where you can sit, either sit on the ground, or there's some seats in one or two places. Nice places to just sit and watch the red kites flying around. Yeah, in the warmer months, the butterflies. There's quite a range of unique flora and fauna on these chalk hills, which are part of the Chiltern Hills. And if you like butterflies and red kites in particular, then here's a great place to come and see them. If you're really lucky, you might see some muntjac deer hiding about in the woods. Such timid little creatures, though, they tend to run off before you even know they're there. But if you come up, particularly first thing in the morning, they're quite often out on the path foraging. You can get reasonably close to them. As soon as they notice you're there, they're off. Just come up to the first crossing of the Hitchin to Barton Road. It's quite a busy road, so take care crossing this one. Cars do come along here at 60 miles an hour, and particularly if you've got the kids with you. You can tell when you're getting near to a road. Into the litter that gets thrown. This is another tiny little lay-by that seems to attract people coming along in their cars or vans and dumping their rubbish like that. Fortunately, on this walk we won't see too much more of that disgusting behaviour. someone's old sofa by the looks of it, or some sort of seat, and yeah, let's just dump it in a hedge, why not? And as you can see in there, lots of general rubbish. People come and park up here at night and smoke funky cigarettes and stuff like that, so it's probably not a surprise it's like this. It's a shame, but there you go. That's what happens to beauty spots next to main roads. Anyway, won't dwell on that too much. This is the Hitchin that way, BARTON-Le-clay that way, Pegsdon would be that way or so if we were driving. Excuse me while I just get myself over this stile. I didn't realise how difficult it was to do that with a camera in one hand. Going back to the littering, obviously you've got fly tippers like that. People just think it's acceptable to throw stuff out of car windows in lay-bys and so on. But once you get away from areas like that, I tend to find that the litter gets less and less the further up paths you get. And I guess it's littering and throwing rubbish out of car windows, or even if you're walking and throwing litter, is a sign of laziness, if nothing else. Disrespect for the environment and other people also. But so I don't want to turn this into some sort of littering rant. But I do find the further away you get from the starting point of a public footpath, the less litter there is. Because let's face it, littering is just something that lazy people do, and lazy people probably don't go on walks down public footpaths. Let me know what you think on that. I just obviously less and less people go. The further you go, there'll be less people that go that far. Anyway, that's Deacon Hill. And just as we walk across this particular field, which was full of sheep and lambs the other day, little baby lambs, they appear to have all been moved somewhere else. A few people out this morning. I can see a couple up there walking back in this general direction. Get the furthest reaches of this walk, which I'll mention when we get to it. Even though we are so close to towns and villages, Luton Airport's not very far in that direction. It does feel like you're almost in quite a remote place, which of course you're not. We're in the middle of southern England, surrounded by quite big towns and cities, so it's nice to be able to walk out to places like this, at least feel like you've gone somewhere reasonably remote. The bonus, of course, to places like this is it's not too far to get to them. Hitchin's always a nice town to come and visit if you're a tourist and want to get out of the big cities, London, Cambridge and so on. Hitchin's are always worth a visit. You can get there by train, National Express coach, drive of course. Some interesting shops. Google Hitchin and you'll see, apart from the few main chains that you get in any town, there's not too many of those really. It's pretty much independent shops and a market. A few interesting cafes and restaurants too, so well worthy of a day out. And if you're not a tourist and you just live fairly close by, southern part of England, pick your car one day, or on the bus, it's pretty well connected to most places, and come and visit. It's, as you can probably tell by my painting slightly, it's a little bit steeper than it looks on the camera. This bit is the steepest bit, and anyone with mobility issues probably wouldn't manage this particularly well, if at all. But you can kind of walk around the base of Deacon Hill by going over that way. Still fairly steep, but not as steep as the way I'm going to go now. This is, if you've got a small toboggan, and on the rare occasions we actually get a decent amount of snow in this part of England, this is a good place to come. And if you're careful and head that way rather than that way, you won't end up in a fence, barbed wire fence, or at least learn how to stop it before you get to the fence. You can get a fair lick coming down this hill on a snowy day. I think we probably had 2 days this winter, well, winter that's just gone, 2022 and 23, where there would have been sufficient snow to boggle down here, sledge down. Alternatively, you can get tarpaulin, and I think you know what I mean. It's hard to describe what you do, but you basically sit on the tarp, pull it up in front of you and slide down that way. It's certainly steep enough for that, but you need a few layers in your pants to avoid the bruising. So, more or less at the top now. So just to give you a geographical, just over there, that's Hitchin, the village of Burton, and where we started the walk is just over those, the woods over there. Burton's about 2 miles from here. We've walked approximately a mile, I'd say, from Knocking Hoe Nature Reserve. Over in that general direction would be Luton Airport. On a clear day you can see the planes flying in over Stevenage, coming into land. Can't see anything this morning. Clouds a bit low, but they are quite a long way away. Quite often you come across a lot of sheep up here sheltering in these this old workings. We used to take out chalk. I wouldn't call it a chalk mine, but I suppose it sort of is. I used to get chalk out of the ground here. The sheep like these little dips. Right, so we're now at the top of Deacon Hill, and as such there is the trig pillar. For those of you that are not familiar with trig pillars, give them a Google and find out what they're all about. but you will find a lot of these over Britain. And this particular trig pillar is that there. If you wish to, if you Google that, then it will bring up all the relevant information, where it is, its elevation above sea level, how to get to it, so on and so forth. So, once you're up here, there's two ways that you can take to get to Pegsdon Village. Now, I just mentioned back there about taking a slightly less hilly route round the base of Deacon Hill. That'll bring you out over there, and then of course you've got to walk down this fairly steep hill over towards the, you can just see it through the tree branch there, there's a water trough and a stile a bit further along, and you can walk along those trees and through the next field towards the village of Pegsdon over there, and just see the white building right in the middle. That's the pub and the car park there. Now, the quickest way to get to it from here right now would be to walk down the hill here, avoiding all the rabbit holes and so on that you could twist your ankle on. But I'm going to be taking the longer route, which takes you around this these workings over here as well, which are quite interesting. It's a great place for kids to explore actually. Once you get over there, they can run around in the woods, find lots of things in there. So, deviated slightly off the path there. It's not really much of a defined path, but you can just about see what amounts to being the path to where we're going. This actually connects up with, when I mentioned the car park on the Hitchin to Barton Road, part of the BARTON-Le-clay that comes off from there, runs parallel to Deacon Hill. And this path kind of leads to that, although I won't be going on to it. And that leads you off over to, well, ultimately to part of it towards Leagrave in Luton, although you do come across actual roads. But anyway, that's on a map if you want to look it up. There's another walking route across the top towards Leagrave. BARTON-Le-clay, which is a famous or historical old route across England. I can't remember where it actually starts and finishes, but I think it's something along the lines of somewhere out on the east coast, like Norfolk or somewhere in Norfolk, and finishes in Wiltshire, I think. I should have done better homework on it actually. I was going to mention it, but I didn't realise I was going to mention it. Can be quite sheltered just along this bit. It's quite a nice place to stop for if you've got a flask with you or a little bit of a picnic or something. Here would be a good place to stop if you sit up on back up there on Deacon Hill. It's quite blowy up there. Even on a fairly calm day, it's quite windy. But just down here, you tend to be quite sheltered. And it's quite a good place for kids to run around if you bring them with you, or your dog. Always used to be a rope tied to the tree with a branch attached to the rope. So the rope swing, over the years it's come and gone. Oh, I can see the rope. Looking a bit bedraggled today. It's quite, oh no, it has got a piece of wood attached to it. It's spun round now. Yeah, so again, quite good fun swinging around on that. Yeah, last time I came up here, was either no wood at all or some little piece, but somebody's put a bigger bit on there now. I have to think they've changed the rope. Yeah, here's a good place to set up camp for a little while. I still hear the noise of the traffic down there on the Barton Road, but it is getting gradually quieter. And if you're walking alone, pop on some music. Hang on, you can be in your own little world for a while. So far from Knocking Hoe Nature Reserve to here, it's taken about 26 minutes. If you walked up from, say, Pegsdon, you could add, I suppose, another 20-25 minutes onto that from the car park on the Hitchin to Barton Road. 10 minutes tops to get to that starting point. Remember to shut these gates, everybody. Nice difference to taking the low route there, other than to go and sit on that seat, which is quite nice, or taking the high route here. Ultimately you end up in the same place. I think the nicest time to come up and hear the planes from Luton Airport now, just the roar of an aircraft engine in the distance there. I think the nicest time to come up here by far is late spring, early summer. As I say, this is very early spring, March, and still a bit on the chilly side. Any animals yet. There's quite often ponies up here as well. Don't know if they take them indoors during the winter time and they haven't brought them back out again. But yeah, the ponies will come over and say hello. Can't see anything. And some cattle as well, quite often. More sheep. Not a lot around at the moment. And it's starting to spit with rain slightly as well. Really is dry, considering it's the end of winter. Quite often I've come across here in winter time when we've had a lot of rain, and it's very, very slippy along this path. Doesn't look like it would be, but it really is. It's I don't know what it is with the soil in these parts, but it seems to be very, very slippy when wet. Slippery when wet. That would be a good name for an album. So no need to comment on that. It's amazing how sound travels so far when you're high up like this and there's not much wind to block out the sound whistling around your ears and so on. I've just heard a train toot its horn, and the main line where that train was is at least 5 miles away from here. At least 5 miles away. I heard that quite clearly. Might have come out on the camera, on the sound here, I don't know, but I certainly heard it clearly enough. This is where you've got a couple of options again on this walk, neither of which I'm going to take, but so when you get just to the top here, again, this is quite a nice place to sit and have a cup of coffee or something. Nice little flat area, nice views to look at. You can't actually see it from here, but you can walk over the edge of the hill just over there, and a path leads you down a slightly quicker way back down to Pegsdon. I find this much more pleasant coming around this way, however. Walking around this cutting here. Yeah, very little wildlife around at the moment. Let's try this in later spring into May, April time. A lot more animals to see up there. This gets incredibly slippy as well when it's been raining heavily. He slipped off down the hill before now. I know it doesn't seem possible just looking at it, but it's... oh, there's some sheep down there. Interesting earthworks there. Right, so we've gone from Deacon Hill to Pegsdon Hills now. So, useful sign there, just letting you know what's going on. Now, when I mentioned the Icknield Way, that over there is where it intersects with where we are now. So if you did park at the car park on the Hitchin Barton Road and walked up the path that begins there, this is a point where you could come out, or indeed you could take this walk and then go through that gate, turn left and go back down to your car down that way. That'll be a shorter walk, a lot shorter. The alternative, of course, is to continue where I'm going now, down to Pegsdon, back up to Knockinhoe Nature Reserve, with or without a stop at the pub, and then back down to your car then, or back down to Burton. Or indeed, if you actually started off in Pegsdon itself, that's the end of your walk. So either way around, it's a nice walk where you can start, tailor it a little bit to kind of length of walk that you'd like to do. Come away from the hills, it's starting to get the wind blowing again. There's another nice place where you can, forgot about that, you can just go through this gate here. Nice seat to sit on there, lovely views. Quite often see the red kites flying around using the upward draft in this area here. Looking for little mammals to catch, I guess, and have for lunch. I don't know the breed of sheep that they keep up here, but they're different to the normal woolly sheep that you see. The ones that are quite timid and run away. These ones are quite friendly and inquisitive and come up. They don't seem to run away. They'll just come up and have a good look at you. Costa coffee for a long way from right the way across Bedfordshire. Can't really see it today, but I can just see it. I don't know if it's coming out on the camera. Not really coming out, I don't think, but I can see it with the naked eye. Sandy Heath transmitter. So Sandy in Bedfordshire over there, Sandy Heath. Start walking down again now. It's a general downward walk back to Pegsdon Hills, Pegsdon Village, I should say. Again, this is quite incredible how dry this is actually for the time of year. But again, this can be absolutely treacherous. I've had to cling on to tree branches along here to stop from sliding off down into the brambles. It's quite incredible how slippy this gets, but not this year. Over in that general direction is BARTON-Le-clay, and another excellent place to walk, Barton Hills. There's a spring there, Barton Spring, a little stream. You can walk up to the top of Telegraph Hill from there, and great views again. Similar to this in a way. not quite so far to walk because you can park a lot closer in the village itself. And of course BARTON-Le-clay's got an array of shops, pubs and so on that you can take advantage of. Let's find this little bit going down the hill. Attacks my knees. My knees not being as young as they used to be, of course. There's not many people about today. There's a guy with his dog now. Pretty typical. This is a Friday morning, so pretty typical. You wouldn't tend to come across too many people on the weekend. On that side of the hill. I'm going to be a little bit over the hour doing this walk, so I'm not really hurrying. If you wanted to do an energetic power walk, or so to speak, or get your head down and not stop looking at anything on the way, then you could do it under an hour. It's a reasonably good bit of exercise as well. Red kites seem to be a bit. They fly somewhere in winter. Thought I saw one earlier on, but there's not many around. You usually see quite a few actually hovering about. There in the middle of the picture is some very dark looking clouds, at least it is on my screen. In reality they don't look quite so dark. And that is Deacon Hill. You can't quite see the trig pillar from here, but it's there behind those bushes, I think. And here's a sign showing you the livestock you are likely to see while up here. Not too many of them today. They are fishing now in Bedfordshire. Just for a walk, according to that sign at least, anyway. I think the majority of this walk has been in Bedfordshire, and a fair proportion of it literally on the Hertfordshire and Bedfordshire border. The line of the border was along part of the walk there, back there. And you look on a map. some of the village roads you go down round here, you go in and out of the counties multiple times in the space of a few miles. It's not like states of America with straight lines in all directions going to define the borders of states or counties even, but the county lines here are very higgledy-piggledy. Certainly been lots of sheep around here recently, looking at the ground. Rabbits as well, there's quite a few rabbits up here. Again, they seem to be hiding away today. It's not that cold either. It's a fairly chilly day, but it's not cattle around here as well. Looking at the little messages left about the place. So, oh yeah, I can see some cows down there. This is spring 2023, so of course 3 years ago, spring 2020 is when the dreaded coronavirus kicked off, and I think it was about the middle of March, so we're almost got to 3 years ago when lockdown occurred. And I remember coming up here. It was during that period of time where you weren't allowed to go out. You could only go to the chemists or go out to buy food. And the official instruction, I think, was something along the lines of you could go out on your own, or I can't really remember now, but it's something along the lines of you could go out on your own for exercise for 30 minutes. That kind of level of lockdown. And after a few weeks it was relaxed a little bit, and it was a bank holiday Monday, so probably May Day bank holiday, or possibly the April Easter bank holidays, actually thinking about it, a few weeks later anyway. And I came up, I was up the top there, and I've never seen so many people up there in all my life. Completely not dressed appropriately for the terrain and the weather conditions. But there were a lot of people. It almost like a coach tour had turned up to show them some random piece of British English countryside. And the people clearly had not really gone out for walks in the countryside either ever before, or not very often, or for a very long time, because they looked surprised that the place even existed. It was quite surreal. I find it difficult to really explain it adequately how it seemed, but I arrived there with my usual walking gear, walking shoes, and there were people sort of tottering around in platform shoes and the kind of clothes you would wear to go to the shops in, not to go out for a walk in the hills. But nothing was open. All the shops were shut, all the pubs were shut, all the shopping malls were shut. It was just the odd places open, takeaway food if you remember, chemists and convenience stores and things like that. That was about it. And so people didn't have anything to do, so they suddenly discovered this thing called the countryside. And yeah, it was it was quite interesting. And from a few weeks after that, when lockdown was eased a little bit and a few more shops started to open, I've not really seen anybody up here again since then, so other than the usual people that you would expect to see. So I did find that quite amusing. I can't believe that that's now almost 3 years ago. Maybe there was a coach tour arrived somewhere, but given it was during the beginnings of the lockdown, I suspect it was just a coincidence that a lot of people all turned up at once. I'm not really sure where they would have parked actually, assuming they'd driven. I'll say probably down here in Pegsdon and walked up to the top. But it was interesting times. I know a lot of my friends from overseas find it quite amazing that in Britain we've got the public footpath system across farmers' land and private land the way we have, because you go to some countries in Europe and it just feels like there's nowhere you can walk other than along the road. Nowhere seems accessible with walking trails and walking paths, apart from ones that are officially, in national parks and things like that. Yeah, we're back to the... Oh, hello. Not quite so timid, these ones. Back to the Hitchin Barton Road again, where we're going to cross over. Go through past the pub here. It used to be called the Live and Let Live, and it's changed its name, and for the life of me, right this second, I can't remember what it's called, but we'll... That's the view you get from the pub. A similar view to that, just you can sit outside on a nice day looking across to the Pegsdon Hills, which really is rather pleasant. There's not much in Pegsdon other than the pub. There's no shop that I'm aware of, just a row of houses and a pub. Probably a better alternative would be to start off in Burton, where there is a shop, or at the car park and use the pub here as a little place to have a break halfway around. Ooh. Oh no, I thought the gate had fallen down. Really must make sure these gates are shut properly once you go through them, because the sheep have been known to get onto the road, which is not a good thing for anybody, especially the sheep. This is the only part of the walk where you really actually walk along the road. Oh yeah, the pub's now called The View, which is pretty appropriate given the view it's got, which is rather pleasant. Looks quite rather swish now. I think quite a lot of money's been spent doing it up. Previously, when it was the live and let live, it did get rather run down into the ground, and well, let's just say it got mixed reviews on TripAdvisor. But obviously it's got a completely new start now, so I won't dwell on that because there'll be different owners, different management, and a different experience altogether, I'm sure. Though I've not been in here. Last time I went in, it was the live and let live, and there you go, coffee, £3 for a coffee, pretty standard. Some accommodation here as well. Always used to be advertised on things like booking.com. Presumably still is. There's an awful lot of signs saying the view customer parking only. CCTV cameras. A lot of people used to use this car park for starting to use as a beginning point for their walk. But really, there's no need, because you can just park on the road here. I've never had trouble parking here, and seems slightly over the top with all that signage, because I can't see that it's quite a big car park. I can't imagine that a few walkers parking their car in there is going to pose too much of a problem for them. This is 9 o'clock in the morning, by the way, so the pub's not even open yet, which is why it's so deserted there. But sometimes having a car park that other people want to use for other things you could try and use to your advantage to encourage people to come into your premises, not put them off in the first place by having too much signage and signs threatening you with getting wheel clamped and so on and so forth. You know, can't imagine that car park's ever full up. Maybe on a Sunday lunchtime. Anyway, we can carry on now, getting away from the main road again, continuing on the footpath and heading back up towards. Don't be put off by this private road sign either. I know I've seen people coming along here thinking, oh, can't go down here. Well, yes you can. It's a public footpath. It is a private road and it leads to a farm, and once you get down here there will be a sign which clearly states that you shouldn't go any further along this road towards the farm. The walk takes you, as you'll see shortly, back up the hill towards Knocking Hoe Nature Reserve. It is clearly marked, so you can't really go wrong. Again, it's for me it's slightly overly aggressive signage, but then again I suppose if people have strayed onto places they shouldn't have done and upset the inhabitants of the farm, then I guess it's understandable. It would be quite easy actually to carry on this private road towards the farm when in fact there's nothing there apart from the farm. If can't really see it from here, but if you once we walked out of the pub car park, took a left turn then a right turn, that's a road that takes you from Pegsdon down to the village of Shillington, which is quite a pleasant village to have a look around as well. once again, the usual amenities that most English villages have. A couple of shops, massive church. It was quite impressive at night time when they light it up. And 2 pubs, 3 pubs, there's a few pubs there. Deacon Hill again. It's quite small from here. Doesn't seem quite so small when you're walking up it. It's lovely in summer when these fields are full of wheat. Late summer when the combine harvesters are out. There used to be a sign along here, funnily enough. I've not seen it for a while, or maybe I'm thinking of somewhere else, but in the general parts there used to be a sign saying the wheat grown here is exclusively grown for Weetabix, which I guess is a good business for the farmer. Seen that sign for a while, but so next time you're eating your Weetabix, it might have originated in this field here or one nearby. Of course, a lot of the straw was taken to Luton from here and turned into straw hats or boaters, which is why Luton used to be a hat making town. Hats of all sort of shapes and sizes, not just straw hats, but they certainly made straw boaters, and that's why the football team's nickname is the Hatters. In the village school in Burton, there's like a little history of them, photographs of them collecting the straw and making little things out of straw, presumably to sell to people, but it's again quite interesting. There's a history of all of that in the library, or in the museum, I should say, in Hitchin. The museum used to be at the library, but I think it's 2 separate places now. Yeah, it's all very grey looking, really, in some respects this time of year, because the fields are quite green over there. Right, this is where you need to turn off, otherwise you will suffer the wrath of the farmer, I guess. There's nothing to go and find or do down there anyway, unless you actually are going to the farm for some reason, but it's quite clear. Private road. From this point onwards, no cyclists, no walkers. And a sign clearly showing you public footpath up this way. Again, this bit of path here is absolutely treacherous. Well, treacherous is probably over-egging it slightly, but certainly really slippy and muddy on wet winter, during the wet winters. But again, it's really quite dry now, considering it's just the end of winter, beginning of spring. Now you kind of have a choice here. At the top of this bit where the steps are, you can either carry on up the steps or go left. And it's just a steep hill back up to the top of Knocking Hoe. Well, I used to do running around here, something that I've sort of retired from really. Nowadays I used to tend to take the left turn rather than try to run up these steps. One, because they weren't in particularly good condition, and they were just at a slightly awkward distance apart for running. Now they've been repaired now, as you can maybe see. They're in much better condition than they used to be. But just the gap between each step is just not quite conducive for running, or at least with the size steps I use. But for walking up, it's fine. Oh, someone's put another rope swing there. That's what we used to do before the internet. Before the days when your mum would say come back when you're hungry or when it's gone dark, whichever's the soonest. No texting back then. This is also quite uneven and not the best for running on. I've tripped up a few times coming up here. Great place to collect cones if you're one of those that likes to make decorative arrangements with cones. Spraying them silver or whatever for Christmas, and good place to pick some up here. Anyone that's ever tried geocaching, there's a few around here. I've been up here with my sons a couple of times doing that. I presume geocaching is still a thing. I've not really heard about it much recently. But yeah, it's great fun hunting out little surprises buried here and there or under logs or whatever. A very white colour of the soil up here because of the chalk content in there. When it's been freshly ploughed, there's usually some quite hefty chunks of chalk that you can pick up. Kids love to take that back and scrawl all over your paths or walls at home. Outside, I mean. That row of trees up there is part of Wood Lane, the beginning of this walk, where we left Knocking-Hoe Nature Reserve and walked towards the Hitchin Barton Road, which is just over there, through the woods. That's there, so we're running parallel to that now. I believe the sun has come out over there. got nothing particularly spectacular on my feet to walk into this rather muddy looking pair of light walking shoes. I'll certainly do the trick for walks like this. As I say, there are certain parts of this walk that are can get pretty slippy and muddy during the middle of winter if there's been lots of rain, but this year, certainly since January through to March, there's been virtually no rain at all, and it's very, very dry. But this is England, and next year could be completely different. Next week could be completely different. So just bear that in mind. I wouldn't walk with Wellingtons on though, I don't think it quite needs that. A decent pair of reasonably waterproof walking shoes, and yeah, I wouldn't bother with flip-flops or flat platform shoes. That's the farm you would end up at if you carried on with that sign. So, I just guess they don't want people just straying off down into there for no real reason. Very pleasant walk. We're up to about 1 hour and 10 minutes, I think, so far. I can't quite see on the screen because the wind's blowing around my eyes a little bit and causing them to tear up slightly. But I think if I'd not been holding a camera and not been talking and not been stopping to point things out, then it's certainly doable in an hour if you move fairly rapidly. Or if you'd like a more leisurely stroll, take 2 hours, take 3 hours, take all day, doesn't matter, does it? But if time is short, and then of course you'd have to add on the time from where you park your car if you've come that way, or where you've cycled to. You could of course cycle to somewhere like Burton. I wouldn't leave your bicycle at the car park on the hitch into Barton Road. There is a fence there that you could chain it up to, but you're probably running the risk of getting it pinched. I know there's been a few problems with cars getting broken into there as well over the years, and there used to be a sign actually warning you of it being a hot spot for that sort of thing, which is a shame. So my personal preference, if I was to drive to go on this walk, would be to park in Burton and take the 20 or so minutes walk up from there and then back again afterwards, obviously. Or park in Pegsdon, where you've just seen plenty of places to park along the road. There's a pub there, before or after. The car park on the hitch into Barton Road is, yeah, it's got a little bit of a reputation for things happening that shouldn't do. This is almost it now. This is a view of the Knocking Hoe Nature Reserve from halfway up. You can walk all the way across there, right the way to that mound, sit on the top of the mound there. You can just see behind the trees. It's quite pleasant actually, sitting over there. that's I mean, that in itself is a nice little walk if you parked in somewhere like Burton. Just walk up to the top here into the nature reserve, walk back again. It's amazing how quickly all this will spring into life fairly soon. All these trees will suddenly have buds and leaves on them. And all this grass here will be 6 foot high. Nettles. So we're just coming up to the top where the walk started. That's the first footpath that we're going on down Wood Lane. And that's really it. So hope you enjoyed this little walk. Get out, enjoy the fresh air. Car fumes and noise of the city and the towns. And well, as you can see, there's not too much litter up here once you get away from the access points. So remember to respect the environment, take away your litter with you. And when you're in the fields where the sheep are, keep your dogs on a lead. And everyone will be happy. Wow, right, back to the beginning. Hope you enjoyed the walk. You can hear a plane from down above. Looks like the sun may come out shortly. Have a nice day, have a nice walk. Bye for now.